So if you are a medical doctor and considering moving and furthering your medical career from Germany, you have probably asked yourself, how long does actually the whole process take before I am licensed and I start working in Germany? In this video, I'm going to address this question step by step to the end. I have broken down the process into 5 important steps, and at the end of the video, you're going to have a clear overview of the whole journey. Hi guys, my name is Melk. I am a medical doctor. I moved from Uganda and I've been living in Germany for the past 2 years. So let me address basics at first. Before you even think of applying for this process, of course, you must be a medical doctor with an MBCHB or MBBS, whatever it's called in your country, and then you must be licensed to work in your country. The third thing is you must not have any criminal record that is put on you from your home country. Then the big question is, did you train in the European Union or you trained outside of the EU? If you trained in the EU, it is very easy, and of course, the distance between you and practicing your medicine in German is basically the language. The quicker you can learn German, the easier and the quicker you'll be able to work in German. So if you didn't train in the EU, how does the process differ for you? Let's roll for it. Of course, the moment you realize that you want to move to Germany and start to practice here, the first and foremost thing you need to do is start learning the language. The goal here is, of course, until C1. Ultimately, at the end of learning your language until C1, you are supposed to take a Goethe Institute exam. You can either do Goethe or Telk. This whole phase of learning the language usually lasts depending on the time that is available for you to put into the language. But roughly speaking, if you're really going intensive and hard route for yourself, it will last about 8 to 16 months plus or minus 4 months. So as you're learning the language, this is the moment where you go on to prepare your documents, which I call step 2. Then it is a certificate that you've gotten in language school that you add onto the other documents that you've been collecting around that are required in the specific Bundesland or the state that you've chosen to practice in, so that at the end of everything, you have your documents that are necessary. Because apart from collecting the documents, what you need to do is have the documents certified and also translated. You can keep doing that while learning the language. You don't have to wait to finish learning the language before you do that. So step 3 is actually submitting your documents for the approbation. So when you submit your documents, after about 3 to 5 months, you receive a Bescheid. It's just a fancy name for a formal statement that is sent to you telling you that your degree is not equivalent to the German degree, and for it to be equated, you're going to have to take 2 exams. And with it also comes the invitation for you to take your first exam, which is called the Fachsprachenprüfung or the FSP. It actually communicates to you, and they be like, whenever you feel ready, you should simply apply for it and then take it. So depending on how ready you feel, you will take the exam. Different people feel ready at different times. It is better, it is safer for you to prepare for this exam for at least 6 months. 4 months into your preparation, you'll feel like you're starting to get ready for the exam, and at this point, it is when you submit your application to take part in the Fachsprachenprüfung. So after 6 months, you go on to take your Fachsprachenprüfung, or the specialized language test that is required from you as a medical doctor. And then at that point, you are ready to move on to step 4. So step 4 is to work with a temporary license. It's been about 1 year and about 6 to 8 months. From now on, of course, things are getting more straightforward. While you work, you are also preparing yourself for the final exam. And of course, it is the whole purpose for this Berufserlaubnis that is given to you, that you work while you prepare yourself for the final exam, which is also called the Kenntnisprüfung. Now, just like the Fachsprachenprüfung, for the Kenntnisprüfung also, whenever you feel ready, you apply for this exam. But like I said, I don't recommend that you go for the exam immediately, because the Kenntnisprüfung is even a much tougher exam. The thing with the Kenntnisprüfung is that if you don't pass it, you only have about 4 chances. So when you exhaust your 4 chances of not passing the exam, then you've locked your doors of ever practicing medicine in Germany. So I recommend that you prepare yourself adequately before you go for this exam. The normal preparation period for almost many of the doctors I've talked about, and even including myself, because this is the phase I'm in right now, it takes about 6 months also to 8 months. So whenever you feel ready, you go for it. The final and the 5th step that is involved in you being licensed as a medical doctor to work in Germany is, of course, taking the Kenntnisprüfung or the knowledge test. It is a more technical exam. It's about medical things, like you'll be discussing the pathophysiology of diseases and why you're giving drug and not drug B and the drug interaction. It's quite a deep exam that I'll make a special video about. But basically, once you've passed this exam, it's the final hurdle. Now you have your full approbation or full recognition, and you are allowed to work not just in the state where you did the exam, as was the case for the Fachprüfung, but right now you are free to work in whichever Bundesland that you choose in German. Many people always actually do that once they finish that, then they shift and start working in different Bundesländer altogether. It is also like totally dependent on how ready you feel before you take these exams. And yeah, putting everything into consideration, like you've seen above, being licensed in German to practice medicine as a doctor in German, it will take approximately 2 to 3 years of patience. Well, I hope you liked the video and it answered some questions. If it did, please consider checking out that video here that I talk about how exactly to apply for the medical licensing exam in much detail. And of course, a thumbs up from you really helps the video and pushes it out to somebody else who might need the video. Please consider subscribing to the channel if you've not yet subscribed. And until the next one, bye and peace.